Hey everybody, welcome to part 33 of the Curve Try Tail Tuner build. This is the beginning of day 7. And I thought about it last night, and I figured out that what I can do is I can go ahead and mount the pickup, and then the wire's going to basically go down here and then under the plate to the controls, or I might drill a hole. And then, so what I can do is I can put like the breadboard circuit here, mount the pickup here, have the wire come off, wire it up to the breadboard, test the circuit, make sure everything's working, and then when that's done, then I can remove the circuit from the breadboard, put in the control plate, and then put the circuit in. And that way I don't have to connect the pickup and disconnect it again in order to install the electronics, and then wire the pickup back on again. And that way also the pickup will already be in and adjusted and working correctly with relation to the strings, so that I can test stuff like phase and series parallel, which just taking the breadboard and the pickup and hooking them up, and then hooking them up to an amp and hitting the pickup with a screwdriver or whatever, that would tell me if some things were working, but it wouldn't tell me if everything was working correctly. So I think the best plan, and since I figured out a way to do it without having to disconnect the pickup in order to get everything installed, is to just go ahead and do the pickup mounting, and then connect the breadboard, test the breadboard, repair anything that's wrong on the breadboard. Hopefully nothing, but you never can tell. I might have made a mistake. I mean, it's like, oh my God, let's see. I took electronics shop like in the 70s and 80s, so it's been a very long time since I did this stuff. So yeah, I might have forgotten something, did something wrong or something. You never can tell. But, or it might be that, something I'm doing is okay, but really instead of like leaving a positive side open, I should probably be grounding it out in order to avoid picking up noise or things like that. So, and then I also have to take into account the soupy power supply, power that I have available here at the shop. It's either like off a generator or off a non-full sine wave power inverter, and they both tend to add noise to the line. So I need to get another hum eliminator box. Used to have one of those back in the day at the old place. It had soupy power too. So, and the hum eliminator seemed to really work. It's some sort of little ISO transformer that you plug your guitar cable into, and then plug another cable and then go to the amp. It gets rid of all your hum. But anyway, yeah, so that's the plan. I'm going to go ahead and install the pickup, and then solder it up to the breadboard, test the breadboard, and then I guess either put the controls in the pickguard and then glue it all up, or glue up the pickguard and then put the controls in. Probably put the controls in first, though, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not, because the way the controls will make it harder to keep it all in place for gluing. So, probably run the pickup wire down first to make sure I can get it. I gotta decide whether I'm going to drill it or whether I'm going to just squeeze it in between the pickguard and the body of the guitar. So yeah, I need to figure out how I'm going to mount this thing, the pickup, and that's the basic battle plan. So, if you see my breath in the camera, I do apologize. It's incredibly cold here this morning. We had a nor'easter come in through yesterday. Didn't get a whole lot of snow, only less than an inch, maybe about 2 centimeters worth. But it's absolutely freezing here today. It's about 18 degrees Fahrenheit outside. That's about 8 below zero in Celsius. and inside in the shop yet, it has yet to warm up, and it's just above freezing now, about 33 degrees, which is about 1 degree Celsius. So yeah, it's going to be chilly in here for a couple hours still, probably. And it looks like it's time to go on the generator. Alright, well that's okay. I'll be back. Okay, I fished up some short screws and some foam to surface mount the pickup. I originally was looking at some longer screws, the more standard screws for a surface mount on a pickup, but the body's thin, so that was a concern, so I went with the shorter screws. Plus this thing, between the screws sticking out on the bottom and the screws that are going to be jacked up on the top, there's going to be very, very, well, these are in the way, but yeah, there's very, very little adjustment range. Probably only be about 2 mil worth of adjustment range. So I do want to mount it. Now the action's not set right at the moment. Actually, no, it's not set at the moment. So yeah. So yeah, there's going to be a very little bit of adjustment range. I do want to have adjustment because you saw how sensitive these pickups in general are to the distance from the string. So I want to make sure I get all that optimal. But yeah, it's very short adjustment range. So springs didn't really seem like it was going to be happening, even just short clipped ones. So that's the plan. But at the moment, it's time to get some kerosene for the shop. So, how long is this thing? This is about 6 minutes. I'll either post it as a separate episode, or I'll use the high to low res converter software, and I can splice videos together without really editing, just a copy splice kind of thing. It'll do that too. So I might just splice this on to the beginning of the next video, or I might make the next one a separate video. If I end up making this a separate video, then I'll see everybody in the next video. If not, then I'll see everybody in just a second here, once the software splices this together once I get back from getting Caro for the shop. So I'll be back in a bit for the next video. Everybody have a good one. And we're back. Okay, I've got things marked out here for where the 2 screws for the pickup are going to go. Time on sprockets when we drill. So, standard operating procedure. Going to mark off where the 2 holes are going to go, and hit it up with the drill, and of course got some tape on it so I know where to stop and don't go too deep and drill through the body. Be right back. And we're all drilled. Right there, right there. Yeah, 1 hole, 2 hole. So then we got a bit of foam will go underneath it. And then our pickup going this way. Got the screws, so the foam will sit next to the screws. That kind of idea. And then little baby screws. So, be right back. Probably going to have to tune this thing up too and reset the action on it in order to get the pickup in there and adjust it. Might take a minute. Okay, pickup's mounted up, and I need to bring it up to tension and tune it up. Haven't brought it up to tension since I loosened up the strings in order to see if I get a clamp on the leg bar back when I glued the leg bar. But if you look here, neck alignment's off a little bit, and almost every day since I put the neck on, I'll go, one of the first things I'll do every day is I'll go and I'll give a little push to see where the neck alignment is. Now you see it's more or less back in spot again. And then I'll go ahead and tighten the screws But I'm noticing that I think this one is bottoming out a little bit. So I think today what I'll do is I'll go ahead and back this guy out and take just another mil or so off the end of it and then put it back in so that I can hopefully get a little better tighter clamping, and this neck will stay where I put it. So I'm going to do that, get that neck alignment squared away again, and then bring it up to proper tuning tension and set the action, and then take a first stab at setting the height on the pickup and the screws.
In the 4 months from
Not
June to
bad
October
for
1940,
using bolt
called
cutters,
the
huh?
Happy Time, the U-boats had...
Okay, we'll see how that does. It might need more attention, it's hard to say. Wait and see. It's not like the guitar is going out the door tomorrow, so there'll be time to wait and see. Okay, full disclosure policy. I decided to put some toothpick shim in there. If you recall, when I originally put these two guys together for the first time, I wasn't real pleased with the alignment. It was off by maybe as much as a mil, or half a mil, something like that. And so I ended up kind of slotting the neck screws in the neck itself. Not the ones on the body, but the ones in the neck. If I slotted the body, it would have been visible. So I think that might have something to do with the fact that this one doesn't seem to be grabbing quite as tightly as I would care for it to. But so I put a little bit of toothpick in there in order to help fill that slot up a little bit more, and it's definitely tighter now. So, and I think I got the neck all pretty straight. Actually might be a little, yeah, maybe it could go maybe a tenth towards the treble there. Get it to all show up. Yeah, that's about even. Maybe even go a little bit more. Getting right on the edge of that bass fret though, so yeah. Plus, it's not strung up. The string height isn't right. I mean, you see I'm moving it around, and this one's touching the fretboard at the moment, so, but yeah, that looks about right, so yeah, full disclosure, not trying to hide any errors or anything. Basically, when it comes down to errors, you want to know about errors because A, it tells you what to try to avoid, and B, hopefully it's something that can be fixed, and you can then learn how to fix it, so errors don't become showstoppers, or errors don't necessarily become do-overs, or showstoppers. So, but anyway, let's see. Okay, yeah, let me get this thing up to tension and set the action again, and then I can set the pickup height. Okay, getting it tuned up here. Bridge saw line. That's all in place and everything, and looks like I should have done that before I installed the pickup, because it's about 2 millimeters too far that way. See where it doesn't line up right there between the string and the slug. Get this thing perpendicular, parallel with the camera. Yeah, so it doesn't line up. It's, it should be over there, that slug. The string should be lying right across the middle, and it's not. It should be more like there, and it's not. So I'm going to have to take the pickup off, and I guess drill a couple holes, like a mil or two over this way, or something. Oh God, another one of these slot situations it looks like. I'll be back. Maybe I can figure out a way to make a pickup mount that's adjustable this way. It's adjustable in this axis. That axis would be nice too. Really, what would be slick is, like I was saying before, you know, a pickup which you can adjust in this axis and slide it, perhaps even in real time with the tone knob or whammy bar setup between neck and bridge. One that you can adjust this way for slug alignment. Obviously one that goes up and down, and for volume, for string distance, and then also have it rotate left or right, so that you could, you know, if your slugs are wider than your strings or whatever, you can tilt it to get the slugs under all the strings. So yeah, that would be a cool pickup mount ring thing. Anyway, yeah, I gotta deal with this. I'll be back. Yeah, it looks like the screws need to come over by half a screw hole. So I think the approach is going to be to just put some toothpick on this side of both holes and put the screw on the other side of the toothpick, and then trust in the soft wood to give more than the toothpick and get me my half screw holes worth of shift in that direction of both screws and the pickup and the slug, so they're under the strings. Wish me luck. Now if you check this out, when I take the toothpick and stick it in here, it pretty much fills that hole. So what I want to do is I want to get the depth of the hole, which is that right there, and I'm going to cut this point off with like some wire cutters. So there's my point, and what I want to do is I want to put it in with the fat side down, which will give me some space still to get the screw in, and I want to put the pointy end towards the treble side of the guitar, since I'm trying to shift the screw towards the bass side of the guitar a little bit. And yeah, that's the general approach for these. Another thing about this trick of putting the pointy end up is that, well, it's all the same trick pretty much. The whole idea is that you'll have more hole at the top and more wood at the bottom, so that it'll be easier to start, and you'll get more grip as you go further down. Well, best laid plans, once I cut the pointy end off the toothpick, the fat end of it didn't want to go down into the hole, maybe because it got squeezed when I was cutting it or something. So I put the pointy end in first, and then what I did is, since it almost filled the hole, I used the smallest screwdriver that I'm using on the screws themselves, and I kind of went and made the starter mark for where the screw goes, and I made it on the base side of the hole. So that should move things over a little bit. Hopefully it'll be enough. Yeah, what can I say? This is an interesting engineering exercise. I'm trying to go for sub-millimeter accuracy here in a really soft and inaccurate material. So carpentry in general is usually not sub-millimeter accuracy. Okay, I double checked it before I started screwing it back in, and the screws actually needed to go right next to the hole, so one hole over, not half a hole over. So this material is so soft, I basically just had the screwdriver on the end of the screw and just kind of push a little bit in order to get my starter divot for right next to the hole instead of halfway over. And I drove both screws in there for the moment. Right now it's slammed all the way down to the deck, and from there I can, I guess what I'll do is lower these, raise it up as high as I can, and then raise these up as much more as I can, maybe, or something, or get these as much of a difference as I want or I can, and then adjust up if I can. I don't know. I'll have to figure out what combination of height and screw height gives me, the best tone here and the best tone here, and the best tone combined, kind of thing. So, but yeah, I gotta get it tuned up first. So that's next. Okay, it's tuned up. I got the bridge slammed pretty much all the way down. I was looking for my small version of the 1.5 millimeter action feeler gauge to check the action, which I haven't done yet. But in the process of searching the tool bench with all the tools I haven't put away and parts I haven't put away, I found a bag of small gold screws, miscellaneous small gold screws, and I found a pair of gold screws that'll work for the pickup mount, so I can switch those from black to gold and get this thing more one color on hardware. Now I need to, I'll just use the big feeler gauge and see what's up. I have a feeling that it's finally going to be time to put a shim underneath this neck. Yeah, looks like the action's around 2 mil. I only checked the base side. So, sounds like about 1 mil worth of shim is called for. While I've got it apart, I'll go ahead and put some more wood in this hole here since this screw is still not rock solid. Don't let a real luthier see this. They'd totally shit their pants. You're supposed to get a big drill and drill it out and put in a wood plug and then re-drill the plug. But I'm just gluing in some of these and then going to come in with some fret nippers until I build up enough material to work with it. I mean, a wood CA glue composite inset on my neck screws, I'm not worried about it. I said wood CA glue composite material inset, I meant insert. Like a machine screw insert that you stick in the back of the neck and then use machine screws to bolt your stuff together. Yeah, so instead of having a machine screw insert, I've got basically I'm creating inside the hole insert material of a composite of glue and with a harder wood actually than the body, and probably as hard as the neck almost, these toothpicks here. Yeah, so a wood of similar hardness and glue combined into a composite material that's being used to fill in around where the screw's going to go, similar to the way that machine screw insert into like a neck would fill in around where the machine screw's going to go. So that's the basic idea, and then I nip it off. This is an example of me doing something very outside the box as far as carpentry is concerned, but very understandable from a more general engineering point of view. So bringing some of my multidisciplinary training to bear here. I took way too many hours of engineering when I was in school, so yeah. Maybe some of it's going to finally pay off. Or maybe not. Well, here's the thing after. There it is. This is usually what I'm using like all the time to measure every little thing, but it's being flaky sometimes, so, and I got a new battery for it, but I need to replace it, so I'm not like, since I'm not using this, I can only go by like memory on what I've got available and how thick the stuff actually is, and then, just kind of eyeball it with a millimeter ruler. But this stuff clocks in at about 2 mil. That means I'd have to kick the bridge up just a little bit, but that's okay because, you know, I've got an adjustable height pickup now, so that's cool. I think I'll just go ahead and slap 2 mil worth of shim in and see what it gets me. It should pretty much slam the strings all the way back down to the fret plane, if not even just a hair below it. So, and then right now the bridge is slammed all the way to the deck, so that means I jack basically however much I jack the bridge is however much action I'm going to get at the 24th, more or less. So ever so slightly less, but 24th is so close to the bridge compared to where the nut is that I'm going to get, you know, whatever percentage of the distance the 24th is from the nut to the bridge. That's what percentage of, you know, if this is like 80% of the way to the bridge, then if I bring the bridge up 1 mil, then I get an action of 0.8 mil at the fret. Should be roughly. Similar triangles. What is similar triangles? It's either geometry or trig. I forget. Okay. Cut out a bit of shim material with the coping saw off of that piece of black material that I showed you earlier. Go ahead and clean up the edges here with a bit of 60 grit and pop it under the neck, screw it all back together. Over here on the hole fix up, where are we at? Gotta be careful with the strings. There we go. Yeah, so that's where we're at on the hole fix up. Basically I had like half a piece of toothpick come out and it didn't want to go back in, so I put a new piece in and with a drop of CA glue. And over here, this is the one that I was stuffing the heck out of before, and I put in, that's the one that had 2 toothpicks glued into it. And yeah, so I trimmed everything off with the fret nippers, and they should be flush enough. Remember, these are all drilled here, and they're big enough for the screw to go straight through, so they should act almost like a locating pin there. So I think it'll work. Time to screw it all back together and see how everything lines up now. If I'm correct on my first guess here, basically, wow, that's looking pretty. The neck alignment should turn out to be straight and more or less want to stay straight instead of kicking a little bit to the treble side is what it normally tends to try to do. Yeah. And then also the brake angle should come out, the neck brake angle should come out so that with the bridge slammed down, the strings ought to be right just about at the fret plane again. And then I can raise the bridge, 2 mil or less, and get some nice action going. Okay, all cleaned up. Well, looks like 1 mil's too much, and this back screw still needs help, so I'm still at it. Sorry I said 1 mil, that shim, this stuff, that's 2 mil, so I guess I'll try. I got like 2 thicknesses of brass, and I think the thick stuff is like 1 mil, and the thin stuff is about 1/3 of a mil, so guess it's time to go fish. Check it out. I found a Dpdt Switch. Thought I had a few of these left over from my original first build, my red guitar. At first I was thinking of putting like 5 pickups in that thing, including like a piezo and a piezo at the nut and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, but no, I've already got the 5-ways going, so that'll be on the next mod for this thing, or whatever. Version 2.0, I guess, huh? Found some of my thick brass here. This is probably the last piece I've got. This stuff clocks in at 0.6 mil. It's about twice as thick as the other brass. I think I'll cut a little bit out for this thing. This is my number one here. This is my biggest and this is my littlest. This is Blackie and that's Little Blackie. And there we are. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect because it's not going to be visible. Okay, looking pretty good. Got the shim in there. The screw's nice and tight now. That screw's been tight always. Action's about 1.5 mil. The bridge is only raised about 1 mil, so pretty good. That means that we can go anywhere from about 1/2 mil action on up. And if we want to get even lower, we're going to either slide a bit more shim in there or sand that down a bit. Shim would probably be the way to go. Oh, and neck alignment's all set too. So, yeah, okay, she's shimmed up, she's straight, she's tuned up. I think it's time to test it out. We'll take this puppy and our breadboard and we'll wire them together. Okay, looks like the first step is we're going to wire the positive side of each of these coils to the 2 on-off switches. And actually, I think I'm going to try to merge this with the previous footage that I shot before I went to get kerosene for the shop. And so we're probably at a good stopping point lengthwise. Also, yeah, that way the next episode I can actually start with the hooking up of the pickup. So until the next one, everybody have a good one.